Hello, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Impact Money Show. You're watching on your TVs in Texas and Louisiana, as well as around the world on all these other wonderful platforms that we use, like Rumble and Twitter and Instagram and all the rest of them. Exciting day today we have. The crypto markets are pumping again nicely. Of course, nice pullback, of course, into this mythical moon, right? Which is like this $100,000 price of Bitcoin. Absolutely unbelievable for guys like myself who have been in since under $100 to see it like this. $100,000 Bitcoin. I mean, my gosh, who would have thought? It is really just wow. And actually, although markets go up and down and all around, and I wouldn't be surprised if we do go up and down all around, especially with the war that is going on with the wars, I should say. So China is now, I mean, they're really flexing. China's flexing right now. And they've always wanted Taiwan. I don't know if you guys have been to Taiwan before, but I have. Man, they do not like China over there. They don't like China. No. Actually, Taiwan, they believe they're China. I don't know. I don't want to say it the wrong way. So basically, the government of China left Taiwan when the communists took over, and so they still consider themselves the rightful government, the real Chinese, and of course the communists have remained in power over there in mainland China. Of course, mainland China has still insists that Taiwan is there. So you can imagine, though, the thing about China is they have 1.4 billion people. It's like 1.4 billion people. It's just even hard to get your head around. Of course, you have India there as well. So India has around the same type of amount, around the same amount of people. So, but wow, that's a lot. And they are advanced. They're advanced. Actually, what's coming out a little bit right now is that China has been supplying Russia with weapons. And that makes total sense, doesn't it? Okay, now you're like, oh, okay, I get it. And so we have a situation, of course, you have Iran, China, Russia. And these are the ones, I don't know if you noticed, but Iran went to a Pakistan arms conference. And they had the whole setup just like Israel had here during our major arms conference. And that was one of the things I talked about last year after the October 7th attack. I said, look, guys, this looks a little funny to me because as this October 7th, so like October 7th, and then it was like right afterwards. I mean, it was like over the weekend they had the attack, and then you had major arms sales going on here in the U.S. And I thought, wow, that looks pretty interesting, especially when you saw how the markets were shorted and all these other things. You know, nothing goes on without a lot of people knowing. You know, it's not like Sinwar just did all of this preparations and nobody knew about it. Like, obviously people definitely knew about it. Anyway, so Iran is, of course, selling a lot of arms to the area. Russia is also arming Syria and all these places. And then, of course, China is the big dog arming everybody. Nobody really talks about China that much. But China has the shipbuilding capacity of China is over 200 times that of the United States. Basically, as it is right now, we would not be able to keep up if we, as it is right now. Now, never put anything past the United States. We are an amazing industrious people who can do all types of things. Okay. And that's one of the reasons why everyone is so excited that crypto is going to open up over here. It's one of the reasons why the markets are pumping so much. We have a new SEC chair that's being floated, and he's very pro-crypto. And if the U.S. becomes the hub for crypto, which I think is what Trump's going to do, we're all going to make a lot of money. We're going to make a lot of money. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. We're going to make a lot of money. The U.S. is going to make a lot of money. When the U.S. makes a lot of money, everybody makes a lot of money. That's the way it works. okay, and get Elon in there. Elon is downsizing the government. I mean, the future is very bright. There's a lot of stuff in between that is worrisome. Of course, some of these new Trump picks are just scary. You have this lady, Dr. whatever her name is, Kevorkian. No, I'm just kidding. It's not Kevorkian. But Dr. Something or the other. I'll pull her up right here. I posted about it. And she has been picked for the Surgeon General. And this woman is like a pro-vaxxer, pro-censorship. Like, this woman is like, what in the world? Trump's pick is pro-censorship shill of the deep state, Dr. Janet Nishwat. I tweeted Trump. I said, this is concerning. And I think actually we all need to do that, because whether or not he sees it or not, people are listening. Hopefully he's listening too, but let's face it, the guy is busy. That's why he ends up with picks like this, I think. Not sure. I said Trump's picking a rabid vaxxer pro-censorship show of the deep state, Dr. Janet Nishwitz, is concerning. What gives Donald Trump, I asked. Does it provide immunity? Only for the manufacturer. As well, here from where I sit in Washington, D.C., it appears the Senate seats that were likely stolen in Arizona, Wisconsin, and Nevada have removed the power to enact Trump's mandate and the will of the people. Of course, you have my man here. He's talking about how Trump has a mandate. This is interesting right here. Time travel will happen, I say. And, if you follow my feed, I've been talking a little bit about these different paradoxes that happen. One of them in particular that came up that I'll talk about here briefly is that many of you, like myself, remember that Thanksgiving was always on the third Thursday of the month. My mother always taught me that Thanksgiving was the third Thursday of November. Third Thursday of November, she always told me. Thanksgiving is always on the third Thursday of November. But in the timeline that we're on now, some of you remember like me, and then others you said, no, it's always been the fourth Thursday. Always been the fourth Thursday. And if you go back and look, it's on the calendar. It's the fourth Thursday. And look, it's here. And here's the legislation. And I'm not arguing that. But what I am saying is that I remember it as the third Thursday. And there's a lot of people like me that remember it as the third Thursday. And there's even like an acronym that people, the 3 T's. Thursday, third, Thanksgiving. Why did I remember the 3 T's? Why was I taught the 3 T's if that's not the deal? So we have a paradox. It's called the Mandela effect. And so I put that out on my X. If you don't follow me on X, you should follow me on X at Networks Manager. I used to say it's not for the faint of heart, but I've gotten a lot more mellow in these days. But time travel will happen. The idea of time travel has long captivated not only science fiction enthusiasts, but also scientists, pondering if such a phenomenon could be possible. While no one has ever demonstrated the ability to navigate through time, the theoretical implications of the paradoxes it poses continue to intrigue researchers. Movies like Terminator, Donnie Darko, and Back to the Future illustrate the complex issues time travel could introduce to understanding physics. The classic conundrum, of course, is the grandfather paradox. If you travel back in time and prevent your grandparents from meeting, how could you have been born to travel back? How would that work? Like, if you made sure they didn't meet, you would never have been born, right? So scientists are tackling this. Physics people are tackling it. They're coming up with all types of different ways that it might happen. Some are saying, well, it will just always happen. But of course, it can't always happen. I mean, if your grandparent dies or something like that, then how could they have met, right? So I think personally that there are multiple different timelines. And I know that sounds funny and it sounds weird, right? But that's what I think. I think that this collider, and I'm not the only one. This wasn't an original idea. It's actually worth maybe playing this video. Mandela Networks Manager. Why am I not finding my own post? effects, maybe. Here we go. Here it is. Here it is. Actually, it's too long to play right now. I'll play it. Maybe I'll play it at the end of the show after Matt comes on. I don't want to take up all our time right now. This is my monologue portion. This is where I talk about all the important stuff. Not that that's not important, because it is. It is important, because soon we will be traveling time, and soon we will be living very, very long. I think actually some people are already living very, very long time. That's what I think. But soon, many of us will be able to live a very long time. I think out of our generation, I'm Generation X, but I think out of our generation, many of us will live past 100, which would be pretty interesting. I think it's one of the reasons why they've always wanted to bring the population down, numbers down, because I think it's too many people. How are we going to survive? You have all these people that are supposedly smart. How are we going to survive? How will this happen? Elon has the right idea, though. We expand. We go to Mars. That's one thing that, Elon and Trump have done. Trump has made optimism real again. People believe that it is going to be better. And so, of course, things are better. If you believe that the future is going to be brighter, it is brighter. That's the way it works. Now, of course, anything can happen. But optimism is very powerful, and optimism will push markets. As Matt and I always say, the markets can stay irrational longer than you can stay solvent. Markets are emotional. Markets are irrational. And then you see this major pump. We have this major crypto pump. Major crypto pump. But we also have the pump in the everything. Everything's pumping, even the US dollar. Gold's pumping, stock market's pumping, S&P, the 500, I put this out on my X as well. The 500 companies in the S&P 500 now have nearly a larger market cap than the entire rest of the world companies combined. Think about that. The S&P 500, nearly half of the total combined market cap of the world. Something else. Meanwhile, we have war. And war is also very profitable. As I mentioned a little bit ago, Iran is over in Pakistan. They're selling arms to basically everybody, right? Israel is over here at our arms deal. They're selling arms to everybody. The U.S. is selling arms to everybody. Everybody's selling arms to everybody. China's selling arms to everybody. There's big, big business. Major business. It's actually, I don't know if there's a more profitable business than war. As sad as that sounds, war might be the most profitable business at the moment. You would think, oh, it's crypto, but let me tell you, it's war. It's war. So as it is right now, we are really, and I don't even know how we're kind of letting it happen. We're, sleepwalking into World War III. How are we just kind of letting it happen? I'm not really sure, but we have a lame duck president who the court already decided, I think in Delaware, doesn't have the mental capacity to stand trial for the document stuff that he has a bunch of documents that wasn't supposed to have, just like Trump did in Mar-a-Lago or whatever, did or didn't. I'm not here to say that. Classified documents. And they said, well, he's just an old man. He's not going to be able to answer anything. And we just, forget it. So they didn't bring it to court. So we have this guy, and he's totally incapacitated to the point where his own party says this guy can't even run for office. They take him off the ticket. They try to pull a fast one on everybody, and they stick in the chick, Kamala Lala. That was a disaster. And this guy, so whether it's him or Kamala in charge, which I think everybody can agree Kamala's not in charge, and I think we can all agree he's not in charge either. So it's the deep state, the administrative state, is taking us into World War III. Secretary of State Blinken and his cohorts, taking us into World War III. We are now, when Ukraine strikes deep into Russia, that's us. That's the United States. That's Britain striking deep into Russia. A British soldier actually was picked up. He was caught in Russia over the weekend. He's having a bad day, I'll tell you that. He's having some bad days. So the US and Britain are striking Russia. The only reason, not the only reason, because Russia doesn't really want a full-out war. And it's the same thing we have over in the Middle East. Iran doesn't want a full-out war either. Who wants the full-out war? We do. The United States does. Israel does, but only if we're involved, right? So Israel obviously wants the full-out war, but they want us to fight it. But we're poking these countries, and we're just bombing, and we're killing all kinds of people. And a lame duck president, like the fact that the Senate and the House aren't doing anything to stop this is crazy. Like, we're literally in the last months of a presidency that nobody agreed, half the country doesn't even believe ever should have happened. And the other half of the country believes that the person, most of them, let's say at least another quarter of the country, believes that the person is incapacitated and can't make any decisions. And here we are starting World War III on multiple fronts. And then we're arming China, or Taiwan as well. So when we're arming these people, it's like, that's like the United States doing it, right? So now we're about to, as soon as China takes their moment and attacks Taiwan, which I agreed, guys, it may or may not happen. We may just be right on the brink of this, and then Trump comes in and we have years of prosperity and everything else. But man, we sure are playing with fire. We are playing with fire, I'll tell you that. So if China invades Taiwan, then we are really in trouble. We'll have a war on 3 different continents. A little old us. We're talking like 300 million people, 330 million people over here. Okay. A war on 3 different continents. We'll have Asia, Eastern Europe, and the Middle East. And most of our equipment is over there in the Middle East, I think most, but a lot of it. And then, of course, NATO and everything else. We're really pushing things. We're really pushing it. The title of the show today is Election Economy, Trump's Win, War, and Wall Street Whirlwind. Can the crypto wave lift all boats? We have the great Matt Dixon here. Let's see what Sir Matt has to say. Hi, Matt. How are you?
Hey, good morning, Bruce. Very well, thank you. Hi, everybody. Amazing. Yeah, you took a lot of the words out of my mouth there. It really does look as though they're playing with fire.
Yeah.
Particularly, just the way that they're arming Ukraine, giving them these long-range missiles.
Yes.
The thing is, they could actually give them an awful lot more. But what they're doing is maintaining the balance. And the art of war, and it's a horrible thing to say, the art of war is actually maintaining a balance. And they've done that historically everywhere, even when there was that confrontation between India, Pakistan in the Kashmir region. They were supplying both sides, just maintaining the balance, because if they maintain the balance, it just keeps things going longer and it's better for business. And what a horrible business.
It's a horrible business. That's what my dad said. So, I've told the story a number of times on the show, but he did 2 tours of Vietnam. He volunteered for the 3rd tour. He was over there. He lost the paperwork. But by then he figured out we were just having a war to have a war. We weren't really trying to win the war. We were arming both sides of the war. We were just there to have a war. War is sick. This sick business is so profitable. But that's what it looks like. What's going on?
It's horrible, really. The world is pretty sick in so many ways. I was going to just mention something there, but I know I can't, because we've got to be so careful these days about what you mention and what the implications of, perfectly reasonable things, reasonable family value things that you want to talk about, but you just got to be so careful these days.
It's true.
So the war is it's just heating up and heating up, and at some point it will boil. So anyway,
Indeed.
I've just shared my screen there. I trust you can see that.
I see it here. Look at that DXY. Look at
Yeah,
that US
so
dollar.
I don't think I made it absolutely clear the other day, but we have had from this low point that we had not long ago. I mean, that was July 23, so it's over a year ago, I guess. We had a low point at the time in the dollar index. It was about 99, I think. And we pushed up really strongly to this A up here, which was $107 index. Then we've had basically a very clear ABC wave down. And I say clear, it is an ABC down. It didn't drop below the previous start of the A wave. It didn't go above the end of the A wave. It's just a really nice consolidating wave form there in the form of an ABC itself. So that's a B wave. Just shrink it slightly so you can see the B wave there in red. And then this final push up. Now, if it's a final push up, hard to say. So interesting, we've had this real dollar rally, not just Trump dollar rally. It was actually a rally before Trump even. It started in September. So maybe that was when Trump was starting to get stronger in the polls, possibly. Yeah. Maybe that was it.
I think, yep.
Yeah, okay, so maybe that was it. So maybe it can be all attributed to Trump, but the way these things tend to go, obviously there's an awful lot of enthusiasm and hype and hope and everything built on this Trump presidency. We're already beginning to hear it's not going to be as easy or straightforward. I mean, he talks a good talk, and I know he is very, very decisive in the way that he governs. But even so, some of the things I don't think he's going to be able to implement as quickly and as dramatically as he wants.
Well, and you see what's going on as well. You know, he tried to get Matt Gaetz through, and then that didn't go through. And then I don't want to criticize the guy too much, but some of these other picks, I mean, it's like, what in the world is going on? I mean, the Surgeon General is a pro-vaxxer, pro-censorship. The Secretary of Treasury that he's picked is George Soros guy. I mean, central banker cartel dude. I mean, it could go on and on. So it's going to be hard. And you see the Senate already, they have now placed, of course, they have Mitch McConnell. He's in charge of the Rules Committee. I could go down the list. I won't do it right now. But they have done some specific things that will ensure that he is really fighting an uphill battle here to get his agenda through.
Yeah, I mean, it's always going to be difficult, but a lot of the things and a lot of the policies do genuinely make sense from an outsider's point of view. But as I say, whether he can do it, this is the problem, that in some ways he's a figurehead speaking, but whether he can get the support to put these things through, we'll see.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, the risk is that there's been all this talk and hype, as I say, that this massive enthusiasm, which has given us this Trump pump, with not just the risk assets, but the dollar here as well. But it's always interesting when you see a perfect relationship like C wave is exactly equal to the A wave here. So I measured this Fibonacci measurement from the bottom here to the top here, transposed to the bottom of this wave, and it gave us the exact top. And we've actually got a spike down. So you've got a strong wick higher on the dollar, and then a strong push down. So we may well have seen the top in the dollar. So all I'm saying is that this enthusiasm you often get the buy the rumor, sell the news. Well, the rumor was effectively all the strong talk about all the amazing things that were going to be done that happened even before Trump was elected. And then the actual implementation may fall a little bit short. And so that's why it's a buy the rumor. So the rumor was strongly bought here, and we may get possibly a sell the news effect. And that seems to be what's happening at the moment. And as I say, this is the most common relationship where the C wave equals the A wave precisely, and it's done it absolutely precisely. So we could potentially see weaker dollar ahead. And I suppose we need to think about, if it's weaker dollar ahead and we've had this ABC higher, does that translate to other assets? Now, across the currency board, we've looked at pound dollar. I do actually think it will continue. I think we've had an ABC correction higher, and I think that the pound is going to continue to weaken, because even if the dollar weakens, the UK economy and actually most world economies are in a pretty weak situation, and there's no real prospect at the moment of them picking up any strength. So this is a competitive race between between the dollar and between other currencies, when you're talking about the dollar index, which is the dollar against a basket of currencies, of which the pound is one. So it's competitive. So even if the dollar weakens, I think the pound is going to weaken more. And we gave this long-term prediction a year ago now, when the pound is over a year ago, that the pound was 103. And I said that longer term, we're going to see the dollar flip the pound. And I actually think we've just begun that move already, the move down on the pound. And eventually, I believe that the dollar will become stronger than the pound. But that's not necessarily because of dollar strength, because as we've seen, it's highly likely that the US dollar itself is going to weaken. So what currencies are going to strengthen against it? Well, we'll need to see. The biggest constituent of that basket of currencies is the euro, I think. So maybe we'll see some strength with the euro. I don't know. Maybe it'll all be tied up with the war with Russia, Ukraine. I don't know again, but we just see the charts and we see that things are likely to happen, and then we look for the reasons later on, I guess. So even the dollar yen.
As well, a Stammer, I guess that's how you pronounce his name. I mean, it seems like he is having quite a bit of pushback over there.
Absolutely, yeah. There's been a basically people putting together a list of names, basically just about people who effectively want another election because they say there's a mistake, he shouldn't be in because he's making a total mess of it. So that's what people are saying. And there's over 1 million names now on this petition to actually have another election. Now, it doesn't mean, even if they got all the country saying they want another election, doesn't mean we'll get one. Obviously, there would have to be either a vote of no confidence, or they'd have to just say, okay, we give up. So there is a process, due process, and they can't just say because we've got a big petition of millions of people. But it just shows the massive dissatisfaction and the pushback that you're talking about. There is dissatisfaction. Things are not going particularly well at the moment in the UK. So that's the reason for it. And that's why I think that the pound could continue on the downside, because there is massive dissatisfaction. There's a massive exodus, actually, of expatriates or people moving abroad to become expatriates out of the UK because they're seeing the UK taxes rise massively. And this is kind of the opposite, I think, of what Trump policies are. Trump was talking about reducing taxes, wasn't he?
Yes, by a lot.
Yeah,
that's one of the reasons why I was like, I was fairly pessimistic that he was going to be elected. I thought that they weren't going to let him be elected. 34 trillion or something in debt, and you're going to reduce taxes. I still think he's going to have a lot of trouble implementing. Like, just kind of the point that you make, he's going to have a lot of trouble implementing the stuff they want.
But I think from an economic perspective, when you raise taxes, you actually limit economic growth.
Yes.
You really do. It's a massive disincentive for business. So the fact that you're reducing taxes is actually an incentive for economic growth. So actually, I think that is a correct policy to reduce taxes.
Of course.
A big tax burden is no real incentive to, business can't profit in the same way. So I personally think that's a right policy, but we'll see. So just touching briefly on the dollar against the yen here. As I say, we're close to a 5-way move higher. Maybe we've not quite finished it, I don't know. But once we finish 5 ways, we'd expect a good pullback. That would basically be weaker dollar. So maybe something's going to happen specific to the US to weaken the US dollar.
Yeah.
I don't know. I really don't know.
It is set up for it, but these markets are just so irrational right now. I mean, look at Bitcoin.
Yeah, absolutely irrational. But Bitcoin has actually remained really strong. I mean, we can see it's virtually within touching distance of all-time high yet again. When is it going to reach this 100K? I'm sure it is. But probably it might just, who knows, it might just tick over 100K, get all the rest of the retail people involved, because we saw the fear and greed index. Greed is at an extreme. So at these sort of times, especially if Bitcoin were to top 100K, it's in the news. People are talking now. I see on social media people who'd kind of given up on crypto because of the doldrums it was in, and now they're all talking crypto again and Bitcoin $1 million, et cetera, et cetera. So, all the right narratives, ETFs, et cetera. So there's all that sort of herd mentality of people piling in, but when everybody's in, that's time for a bit of a turnaround. So I think we're seeing the seeds being sown now for that potential turnaround. We just saw the US dollar looking at a potential turnaround there. So maybe that enthusiasm of that initially accompanied the Trump election win is going to reverse, even if it's just for a short term. I think we are going to see that reversal, but we may still have. I mean, it looks as though Bitcoin has got to test that 100. Surely it's got to, the way it's going.
The rumor is now that I covered it actually, I think on Friday, but I'm not sure. So on Friday or the end of the week, the MicroStrategy stock tanked about 20%, and so the rumor is that Michael Saylor sold, and now he's going to buy $3 billion more in Bitcoin today. That's the rumor. That's kind of what's making the market flutter up right now.
I don't think that was a rumor. I think he had actually sold a lot of stock.
I mean, everything's pumping, and MicroStrategy goes down 20%. And I agree. I mean, these are public. They're public things, so that might happen today and push us over 100K.
Yeah, whether it's today, you know.
Well, that's the other thing, right? When you sell your stocks, normally it takes a few days for it to settle. So it could be Tuesday, Wednesday.
Whether he piles straight in, I don't know. I'm sure he's got a strategy. Who knows? But yeah, I think it looks as though it's going to happen anyway. XRP has been really one in the news. Obviously, it's pumped way more than Bitcoin in percentage terms recently. So we came from that 50 cent-ish mark. We've done 3x in virtually no time at all. Probably pretty much since the election, yeah. So yeah, 50 cents to 150, went above 160. So we got 3x on XRP, and I think the real reason we mentioned it on Friday was Gary Gensler. His days are now numbered. He's put in his resignation. He's going on the 20th of January, and that's a big positive because he was always the obstacle to XRP. And that partial win about a year ago now took XRP to 93 cents, but then the SEC came back and said they're going to appeal, et cetera, et cetera. That brought XRP all the way down. But I would just like to look at the long-term XRP just to show you whether it's on the weekly. Yeah, that weekly will show it. It's quite interesting. This is on the Binance chart, but just interestingly, we can see where we are now. We can see where it was. Obviously, it hit much higher prices previously. So we're not yet at all-time high. You know, all-time was, I think, on the Binance anyway. I'd have to check Coinbase because Coinbase is different again. But on the Binance chart, we had 196. But we've got potentially a head and shoulders here. So the head here, left shoulder, right shoulder, and potential for a turnaround. And as I say, if we're going to get a turnaround in most sets, but again, there's a big differentiation. There's a kind of divergence now between the real solid assets. The real solid asset is, of course, Bitcoin. Which is the real store of value. If you compare it with gold even, did you know they just made a massive gold discovery in China?
Wow.
I think billions of dollars worth of gold. They just found a massive gold deposit in China. So maybe that's one of the reasons. We'll check on gold in a minute where it is, but gold's down $29 today, down 1%, which is actually a big move for gold. Not sure what's behind it, but it could be this massive discovery. So with Bitcoin, we know exactly the additional Bitcoin that's going to be mined for the next 100 years. And it's actually minimal when you think about the amount of Bitcoin that's already in existence. There's been about, is it 19.5 million or something has already been mined? And the total is 21 million. So there's only 1.5 million left to be mined. And with that, there'll be loss of Bitcoin as well. So there's very, very little more Bitcoin to come into the system. But it's a known amount is what I'm trying to get at. Whereas with gold, it's an unknown amount. They just found this massive additional reserve in China. They could even, as with the future, with Elon Musk, who knows? They could even be mining other planets, asteroids, whatever, who knows? And have massive additional amounts of gold to be found. And what was quite historic recently, and it's actually the last mining event for Bitcoin, the last halving event, was that Bitcoin overtook gold in terms of stock to flow ratio. So the amount of gold in existence compared with the amount of new gold being mined, when you compared that with Bitcoin, the amount of Bitcoin in existence to the amount of Bitcoin being mined, Bitcoin overtook gold in terms of the stock to flow ratio and became effectively a more scarce asset than gold. And so we talk about Bitcoin being digital gold, and that's precisely what it's about. It's about the the scarcity of it,
Yep.
the fact that you cannot just find, or even with gold, the scarcity, but you can find more. You can find more deposits, etc. But Bitcoin, you cannot. It's defined.
We're not even asteroid mining yet. We may find a lot of gold on asteroids.
Absolutely.
There could be a lot of gold out there.
Yeah,
and actually, the way they do these things, I mean, you look at how the diamonds are as well traded. I mean, they keep the supply down. They don't even let the real supply out. I can tell you. Anyway, yeah.
No, you're absolutely right. They do manage supply as much as they can. They manage price. I mean, where there's money involved, there's no doubt about it, they'll be managing it. But at least Bitcoin is decentralized. Everybody can see exactly what's going to happen. Everybody knows in advance exactly the halving events, how much extra Bitcoin is going to come into supply, etc. So, so many people said, "Oh, but what is Bitcoin?" It's just about scarcity and about the fact that it's the security and scarcity and the fact that you can transfer it and so on and so on. So it's gold, but actually with many additional benefits. So I know gold is still going to be a sensible part of any well-diversified portfolio. No doubt about it. I think gold should remain part of it, but definitely Bitcoin will become more and more. And we've only just begun the adoption of Bitcoin. I think there's so much more to come yet. So as we said, I don't know how many years it will take, but I think Bitcoin $1 million is not unreasonable at all. It's only 10x from here.
Yep.
Look at where it's come. For example, XRP, we saw 3x in 3 weeks.
Yes.
So to get 10x on Bitcoin in the next couple of years is not unreasonable at all.
It's not unreasonable at all. Well, especially when you think about, this is not something like, you try to travel with $250,000 of gold. It's like crazy. But I can tell you you don't even have to actually travel with your crypto. It's just existing on the internet. It's existing on a public ledger. So you could travel space with billions of dollars. You know what I mean? Like Elon walks around with the Doge or Doggy coin wallet worth billions of dollars.
Yeah, and I know I've said it before. I will say it again. I did mention it's actually probably 3 years ago now. I was on a CNBC interview, and they were asking me about the future of Bitcoin, and I said that obviously it will be captive to market forces, geopolitical issues, macroeconomic issues. It will be captive to what's happening in the wider world. But at some point, even if we have a major crash in the markets, at some point, I think Bitcoin will be the one to emerge from the ashes and become that amazing, powerful store of value. And we're just beginning to see that now. But even if we see a big market crash, yes, of course, Bitcoin will go with it at some point. But I think Bitcoin will be the one. And what confirms that in my mind is the fact that those countries that are experiencing massive economic turmoil and stress, with massive inflation, et cetera, Bitcoin is becoming the currency of choice. So for people in the real world, people who are having to live day by day, they're using Bitcoin to exchange for real goods, for bread, for food, for whatever they eat, whatever. Bitcoin is actually the thing of choice. So you'll see all those economies that are under stress are resorting to Bitcoin as a stable form of currency. And I think that will happen more and more as we see more instability possibly around the world. You talked about war. If we do see war, what better, more secure asset to have that you can transfer around the world than Bitcoin, and maybe some others. Maybe that's why we're seeing XRP pump so much as well. So, just moving on. Little look at Solana. We did mention that there's a massive resistance overhead. This is the Binance here. We can see we didn't quite reach the previous all-time high on Binance. I think we did on Coinbase just about, but as I say, there's all these arbitrage opportunities that were in the past, maybe not so much now, but we can see that we basically on Binance didn't quite reach the previous all-time high, and it's been so far rejected from there. And we've got this very clear regular bearish divergence. Again, just to recap, that's where you get higher highs on price peaks, not counting the wicks, the actual wick on the price. So sorry if I move that actually needs to move down a little bit, but even so, it's still perfect regular bearish divergence where basically you've got higher highs on the price and lower highs on corresponding RSI. So if I move that down to touch it's even more divergent than I said. So basically you just line them up perfectly. Higher highs on price, lower highs on RSI. That is telling you that the market is a little bit exhausted for the time being, and likely to be the case when we're seeing this massive Trump rally and we're seeing all these assets pumping so massively. Solana was among them. Solana, one of the reasons for it was Pump.Fun. Have you seen all the news going on there, Bruce, about what's been going on with Pump.Fun?
So I was cruising your X account this morning, and I saw your list of things, and I saw it on there. But no, I didn't. Other than that, I didn't pick up any news on it.
I mean, it's absolutely shocking. It's one of the reasons that Solana is pumped is because obviously it's based, all these memes are based on Solana. And Pump.Fun has now enabled live streaming. So basically you can launch a token, but what they've done, they've linked these tokens with some crazy, crazy stuff. They've got to pull this down, this feature. They've got to take it down because people are doing crazy stuff. Like
I did see. So the kid, like, basically he pumped it up. I guess it was on Pump.Fun, and he rugged everybody on live stream. So he was streaming on that. Is that part of the story?
I mean, yeah, they're rugging people. I mean, left, right, and center. So it's shocking. But what they're actually doing, because it's live streaming now, they're saying you get to $1 million, or I'm going to blow this cat, or shoot this cat, blow this cat, or something.
Okay, I did catch some of that. I'm staying in this cage until we hit 50 million. I'm doing that's so
exactly
funny.
Those kind of things. But it's getting worse and worse and worse, and it'll become like they'll have snuff videos and all sorts on there before long. So they've got to take it down. It's getting out of hand. It really is. I mean, it sounds funny, but it's absolutely shocking. To be fair, it really is. I mean, the state of where we're at in the world with some of these things, it's awful. They've got to take it down. That might even have an impact short term on Solana, because that's one of the main reasons for Solana. So Pump.Fun, I think, has now become the biggest revenue generator around at the moment. It's overtaken.
I will also say that, so the rumor is now, I don't think it's a rumor, it's true. So FTX is going to pay back all the investors. Where did they get that money from? And if you're in the business like us, the money, Solana and FTX is, they're like this. Okay, they're like tighter than two elephants in a footlocker. So where are they going to get that money from? Where are they getting that money from? Well, they might be getting that money from the markets on Solana, and as well, Solana, they already crashed this thing. It broke. It stopped. They stopped transactions. Basically, took it all the way down to $10 or something like that, and then pumped
$8. It's done 30x plus since that $8 low with FTX.
Yeah. So this is when we talk about these things, guys, and that's one of the reasons why we like Bitcoin so much, is because that is immutable, and that is kind of as they say, unstoppable. You can't just freeze that chain. Solana, man, they can stop it, freeze it, seize it. They can do whatever they want with that thing. So
yeah, I mean, Solana has had its issues. I still think Solana has got a tremendous future ahead of it, because
I agree.
Yeah,
but I could also see it, having some issues, quite possibly, and then returning back to $80, and then going back up from there.
It's actually very much real potential for that. Yeah, so it's massively volatile. I mean, the way it's pumped since what's it pumped from 160 to 260 in just no time at all. So yeah, I'm sure it will have, and especially if something were to happen with Pump.Fun to limit that for the time being. I mean, there'll probably even legislation come in that if they don't choose to take those things down, because it's becoming dangerous. Ethereum's actually beginning to show through a little bit, but again, it's still nowhere near all-time highs. So Ethereum still, as I said, it's become almost a stable coin. I mean, look at it, 3,400. I think the high was 4,800, somewhere around there, just over 4.8. So it's way, way, way off its all-time high, and that's because likes of Solana has now overtaken Ethereum for fees, for gas fees, etc. So even though the gas fees on Ethereum are so much higher, that even so, the volume going through Solana, as Ethereum is almost becoming redundant at the moment. Whether that will change, I don't know, but that's why it's still back in the doldrums. Whereas Solana is toying with all-time high, Ethereum is way, way off all-time high, Bitcoin's toying with all-time high. We can see some of the really good assets, and as I say, I think the real assets at the moment are Bitcoin and Solana right now. and there's some other good ones, but there's nothing much that's toying with all-time highs right now.
Yep.
ADA's actually been a good one, hasn't it? Cardano.
It really has been an overperformer. I think maybe he's got the inside track on what's going on, because, man, as soon as it was like, as soon as that the news came out that they might make U.S. companies not have taxes on crypto transactions, it like pumped so hard.
Yeah, I mean, you hear about no tax, and then others I've heard they're going to tax them. I don't know. But even so, Cardano here, ADA, it's still only 1/3 of its all-time high there. So I think the all-time high was $3, wasn't it?
Yeah, sounds about right.
Yeah, $3. So once again, it actually looks very much like XRP, except actually a worse situation, because what's really important is if you've got head and shoulders like this being the head, left shoulder, right shoulder, if the right shoulder is lower than the left shoulder, that's quite a negative sign. So we'll see. I mean, we're still 1/3 of the all-time high, so it's still down massively. And maybe that's just an ABC higher. I don't know. It's not looking that positive. It's had a massive pump recently, obviously since the Trump election win. What's the date here? Yeah, absolutely. Look at that. November 4th, November 5th, November 4th. Pump since Trump. So, as I say, I think there's going to be some reversal, because he cannot possibly fulfill everything he's promised. And so there's going to be some disappointment somewhere. And we've still got these geopolitical issues. So I think that this, because it's still only 1/3 of what it was, I think it's just probably a corrective move higher at the moment. Could be wrong, but as I say, I think you need to be cautious. We're still seeing oil just a little bit of a pump higher. We're on the weekly here, but it's not done much yet. So they're not really taking seriously any of the potential risks. I'll move back to 4-hour just to show you on the 4-hour where we're at. It's not really done anything particularly. You can see we've picked up, but it's not a straight line. There's no major flight to, thinking that there's going to be any major geopolitical issues. Maybe it's because of Trump and thinking that the economy is going to be a little bit stronger, perhaps, and there'll be a little bit more demand for oil, possibly. But that's not a major move in my books. So oil, there's nothing really, nothing to talk about really with oil. I think if we did look at longer term, I think that we've probably got 3 waves higher, 3 waves down, and we probably will push a bit higher on oil. So maybe again that just shows there's going to be some sort of geopolitical risk that'll push oil a bit higher, but nothing major. SPX, again, you said it's not just Bitcoin, but most of the markets are pushing strongly higher. SPX, the S&P 500, you said it equals the cap of virtually all the other assets, stock markets.
Crazy, right? So it's half of it's nearly half of the entire road. Yes, exactly.
Amazing. Yeah,
it is amazing. Those 500 companies.
Yeah. So again, though, we can see that we've got some regular bearish divergence with the high highs price, lower highs RSI. This is on the 4-hour. It's the same on daily, which is really important as far as I'm concerned. We had a gap down here. You can see the gap there where there's no price. No price is recorded there. It was actually a gap, and normally those gaps are filled before you get another reversal. So I still think that now that gap is filled, there's a real possibility that we might see a bit more downside there. We'll probably touch on gold before we leave. Again, it's actually we nailed this pretty well in advance, because we said with this regular bearish divergence that there was going to be a top in place, and we even got shorter term. I'll just show the short term bearish divergence here. So if I draw here, you can see higher high from there to there, and correspondingly on the RSI, even if we went from there to there, it's got to be corresponding, so that has to go to there. So you can see actually that we got higher highs in price, lower highs in RSI. We got a long-term divergence here, much longer-term divergence, but even short-term divergence. We got double divergence. That was telling you that gold was going to fall from here, and it's exactly what it did. And that double divergence was an amazing signal that we had right at the top, and we said that we're likely to get an ABC down, and I think we had a 5-wave move down in the form of an A wave. And with gold and with some commodities, you very often get that 5th wave, being the extended wave, and that's exactly what we see here. So again, it fulfills all the rules. So wave 4 did not overlap the wave 1 down. So we got a wave 1 down, 2 up, 3 down. And even when you have an extended fifth wave, the third wave is still not allowed to be the shortest wave. So it's fulfilling all the rules here. So wave 1 didn't overlap wave 4. Wave 3 was longer than wave 1, which it had to be if you're getting an extended wave 5. And we got an extended wave 5, which again, I think it went to a particular Fibonacci extension. In fact, I can even see here, 3.618 was the extension. That's not actually a Fibonacci number, but it is still a very common extension. So 0.618 is a Fibonacci number, and 2.618 is a Fibonacci number, and 4.236. 3.618 isn't, but it's still very often a retracement or an extension, that prices go to. And it's precisely what happened here. And I could probably check, actually, it may actually be a perfect extension if I measured it properly. Yeah, I'd have to go into that into more detail when I've got more time. But anyway, we've got 5 waves down for the A, we've got a movement up for the B wave, and I think we could get a C wave down to take gold a little bit lower. That's how it's looking today. So we see a bit of a move down today, 28, I think it's the futures here we're looking at, $28 down, 1% down, but potentially we're going to get a bit more movement down. So what's going to drive prices moving forward? Well, obviously we've got the geopolitical issues. You've got Russia, Ukraine, you've got China, Taiwan, you've got Israel, Iran, all those things potentially there. You've got macroeconomics, so we need to keep an eye on particularly what's going on with the US economy, because that's the powerhouse of the world. That's the real driver of the world. So we need to watch there, and obviously we need to watch what's going to happen with the next interest rate decision out of the US. So maybe next time we'll take a step back and look at those macroeconomic issues and just try to see exactly where we're at, because that will give us a much clearer picture of where we're going to be going with the risk assets, but also with the likes of gold. Interest rates are going to be a big factor on the flows of money into and out of risk assets and into these so-called stable assets, and into bonds, of course, as well, into and out of bonds. So it's really important to understand all of these issues as they impact on the price of assets. So just finally, I wasn't going to touch on this, but I just noticed today, I mentioned RLB Rollbit many times before. It's actually up 11% today. Pumped a lot. It's done 100% just recently. So it's up, 11% or 10.8%, 10.87% so far today. That's nice. The biggest rising asset I can see at the moment on the ones that I tend to follow. So just checking others. Yeah, even H-bar has pulled back a little bit today. So a bit of a mixed bag today, actually. There's positives and negatives across the board. Bitcoin slightly positive, BNB slightly positive. That's one of those really stable, solid assets. Again, BNB, I think, has got a good future. And I was talking about the differentiation between the real solid assets, BNB being one of them, I think, because they've got a really good use case and they're very profitable. And you get that buy and burn facility that Binance used to reinforce the token effectively, to ensure supply and demand of the token, which ensures price stability. But then you've got those other tokens which are totally speculative, and most of them, whilst they might have had a little bit of a pump with the Trump pump, I think that there's no real foundation there for them, and that's why they're so far off their all-time highs. I mean, again, if you just, I don't know whether I've got it here, ICP, I've got it here. Yeah, it's had a good pump, a really good pump. But look at it; it was $500. Right at the moment, it's $12. So $400 odd to $12. It's still a fraction of its previous glory, as it were. So these assets, they don't have the fundamental value that some of the assets that we talked about do. So I think that's what differentiates. And right now, I'm one for buying value within crypto. Not looking too much at speculation. Yeah, you can make loads of money on the meme coins. That's play money, as I would call it. But the real money needs to go into the real assets, I think. So that's my closing point for the day, I think, Bruce.
Amazing. Well, I'll mention as well our friends over at 2bit, is in the very near future here we'll be setting up some long-term portfolios for you guys. Matt will be leading that, the 2-bit exchange. But if you can sign up there, make sure you use the referral code Impact Money. It's 2bit.com/T/Impact Money, or just make sure there's Impact Money there in the referral code. You will have to be in our network there in order to get kind of the inside track on those things. But you can sign up. It is available for Americans, and a deposit up to $2,000, you get 10% cash back on your deposit. So that'll be
it's a really nice deal. And what we'll be doing, we'll actually be presenting a couple of different portfolios, maybe 2 or 3 different portfolios. One with long-term underlying value, that's a solid foundation that we think maybe you're talking about holding for a long period of time. You forget the ups and downs of the market, you just buy and hold. But then there'll be a trader's portfolio that actively trades the ups and downs of the market. So depending on your particular appetite toward risk and your particular attitude toward risk, then you can go for either. But hopefully there's something for everybody there. Yep. With a really sound platform with great functionality. So yeah, we're looking forward to bringing that out to you.
Amazing.
Good. Thank you, Bruce. Thank you, everybody. Look forward to catching up tomorrow again.
Cheers, Matt. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. The great Matt Dixon. Sir Matt. So I am running out of time here as well. I did want to give a call out to my friends over at the Crypto Content Creators Campus. They just posted our video that we made while we were there. Now, this is kind of one of the videos that is to come, because I'm already working on other videos that are coming out. Of course, Matt will be in some of them as well, but a lot more, interesting content. But a shout out to these guys. I'll play this video. This is the video that we did in Dubai. Of course, this is where we also made the deal with 2bit. So here it is right here. They just said, they messaged me and said they're going to feature our thing. They said, the cleaner reflects on the highs and lows of crypto in 2024 at the Hacker House submission with their Hacker House submission team, networks manager, Turtle Rod, Crypto Gateway, and Crypto Minder. The concept, a recap of 2024. What went well and what didn't? What do you think was the craziest thing that happened in the crypto year? And of course, this is the video that we put together. And this is just one of them to come this year.
Bitcoin's going to hit 180,000 this time. We got this made in the shade, man. I'm here in Dubai again. Please, this is going to be an amazing run. This will be the biggest run we've ever had. I just can't even wait. Hey, little man, what are you doing?
I'm cleaning, sir.
What color is your Bugatti?
But I only trade memes, sir.
Hey, bro, are you trading memes too?
Of course, bro.
Just make me a whiskey sour.
But why are you so upset, sir?
Nothing. It's just a little correction.
Hey, what's going on, buddy?
I started losing everything, man. The Bitcoin halving, everything's supposed to go up. And instead it's going down, down, down. I don't understand what the problem is. You have Gary Gensler, he's causing a disaster. You have the wars over. I mean, I just don't understand. Is it going to come back up?
Who knew in this bull market only meme coins going up?
These freaking meme coins.
What are you doing, bro? Are you still trading memes?
Of course, bro. What do you expect me to do?
What about the meme from the Origin? It's going up?
Bro, are you joking? Come to see what is happening.
Are you crazy? You're losing money.
No, that's the wrong tab. Okay, look at that.
This is crazy.
I made $500,000, man, from nothing.
Amazing what you made. But bro, this is not enough for your dream car.
Bro, are you joking? I was just cleaning tires a while ago. I just quit, man.
Yeah, now we can go back to it.
Yeah, you think so?
Yes, I can.
Bro, if I'm going to make this money, I promise you, I'm going to get this car.
Right.
Oh, man, this U.S. election is great, man. Everything's going up. We're so back, man. We are back. Great.
Oh, sorry, sir.
Hey, you still trading meme coins?
Yeah, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Look.
Bro, look at this.
Whoa. Congratulations, man.
Come on, I'm going to show you my car, bro.
So yeah, that was of course our submission that we did for the in the Hacker House. Pretty proud of it, to be totally honest with you. And we have more of this new content coming. The truth is that the way I really got to be known in the space, of course, I was around very early, of course, in the crypto space. Bitcoin was $70 when I first bought, $50 when I started trying to buy them. But one of the things that we used to do that really kind of put us on the map was we did skits. And we did all kinds of these funny, fun skits. And so it's really funny because I was talking to my buddy, and of course we're putting some more of this different content together. And he says, Bruce, this is how it started. This is how I got turned on to what you were doing and everything. And I thought, gosh, that is pretty funny. Let me see here. This another one that is pretty. These stupid politicians. Sometimes oh yeah, here we go. I got another one. Oh yeah. So this is going way back. This is from the archives. Really short one here. This is from the archives. Just to tell you, I think that's me in Bitcoin, and that's my buddy over there in Litecoin, and you'll see my brother David here in a minute here.
Litecoin, these stupid politicians. They wouldn't know sound money if it hit them in the head.
I think we should raise taxes. The heck was that?
Yeah, okay. Well, what are we going to do about it? I'll tell you what we're going to do, Litecoin. We're going to go to the Washington Elite AI and Blockchain Summit. Litecoin, we're going to change the world. All right, let me get my bags. Oh, these are heavy. Ugh. Okay, I'm ready. I don't think you thought this through very well. It's pretty cold out here, it's dark, and no one's stopping.
Litecoin, I'm not old enough to drive, and neither are you. And we're trying to change the world here, okay? This constant criticism does not help.
Sorry. Hello, this is Litecoin.
This is Bruce Porter Jr. with the Washington Elite AI and Blockchain Summit. A
Look at that
little
hair.
birdie told me that you and Bitcoin were trying to get here to Washington, D.C. to change the world. The Washington Elite Summit wants to help you guys out. I'm sending you 2 tickets. Can you be to the airport in 10 minutes?
I'll see what I can do, but no promises for Bitcoin. He's pretty old and slow. I know I can make it in 2.5 minutes. Hurry, drink this huddle fuel. We gotta go. Come on, hurry, we gotta go. Let's go, come on. Where are we going? We're going to Washington, D.C. to change the world.
So this is how we started. This is going way back. Of course, I'm going to play one more from the archives. Of course, this was this was really one that a lot of people saw. If you were in crypto, you saw this one. If you didn't see this one, you weren't in crypto, I would say. This was one of our best works in the early days here.
Now we go live to the first ever Washington Elite Coin Skating Invitational, where Bitcoin and Litecoin have joined forces to demonstrate the power and beauty of sound money. You can hear the excitement of the crowd behind me. Oh, as Litecoin integrates a flawless segregated witness into his routine. We are witnessing history right now, ladies and gentlemen. Bitcoin is building up momentum. He pivots expertly around unnecessary regulations. And now it looks like, yes, they are going to do the first ever atomic eye swap. Can they pull this off? Yes! At least one of our judges likes it. Let's see what scores we have. A 6, another 6. A perfect score for Bitcoin and Litecoin.
Ha 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 ha. Of course, so that was me and Litecoin, and then that was my brother David and Bitcoin. I mean, we would back in the day we would do whatever. Like we just would do whatever, and we did a lot of them. We did a lot of these funny skits, and that was one of the ways that we we became known. It was one of the ways I got my first Litecoins. Charlie Lee sent me some Litecoins for us doing the skits and having them as a sponsor of the show. And it's been a fun ride. So to come back to the skits, which you're going to see more and more of here in the coming days and even weeks and everything else, is pretty fun. It's pretty fun. Full circle. All right, last thing I'm going to play here as I close up the show, but I talked about these paradoxes and parallel universes and all this different types of stuff. So I wanted to play this because at the beginning of the show, remember I talked about things. Of course, it's Thanksgiving week, right? And a lot of us, as we grew up, were taught, at least as we remember it. I mean, I didn't like make it up, right? I mean, I remember my mom taught me that Thursday was the third Thursday of November. And there's a lot of other people who specifically remember they were taught or that they know that the Thanksgiving is the fourth Thursday of November. And so you have this, what we call a Mandela effect, which is a known phenomenon. And that is where people remember things very specifically that are totally different. And one of the things that has been talked about, and there's a very smart kid, I've published him a little bit, but I'm going to play this video in particular. And the worry is that this CERN or these particle colliders are causing different parallel timelines or parallel universes, but different timelines. I don't, for me, Thanksgiving was always the third Thursday of November. Now, you can go back and look, and very obviously, historically, it is the fourth Thursday, but that doesn't change the fact that I experienced it as the third Thursday, and there's a lot of people like me. I mean, if it was just me, that'd be one thing. So it's very interesting. So I played this kid a couple of times. This is a short video that I put under my post, of course, just to keep you guys in the loop here. And I got noted on this one. Let me just add this, and then I'm going to close up the show with this. I got noted on this one, which I said was just ridiculous. They noted me on it. I said, we appear to have another Mandela effect phenomenon. Thanksgiving was always the third Thursday of November, but in our current timeline, it appears to be the fourth.
Thanksgiving. When did it change? Like, I grew up and it was always...
I will die on this hill. I will die on this hill because it changed. I must be in a different timeline because here's the shit. I'm going to tell you what I was taught when I was young was T. Why? T. Thanksgiving, Thursday, third. The third Thursday in November is Thanksgiving. I was taught that back in like fucking kindergarten, and I'm almost 40. When did it change? It must not have, but it's clearly wrong for so many people right now. And I know, come on my videos some more and tell me, look at your calendar. It's always been the fourth Thursday. I know, I'm not dumb. I looked back. But the thing is, it's never been that way. And I know y'all think it was, but it hasn't. Why was I taught almost 40 years ago that T for Thursday, T for Thanksgiving, T for third? That's how you remember when Thanksgiving is. Why is it different now? I'm clearly in a different timeline, and it's really freaking me out.
So we're at a point in history too where we're like, okay, I'm in a different timeline, and that's not so crazy. So anyway, I said this kid says CERN's Large Hadron Collider is creating parallel universes. Perhaps this explains the Mandela effect. So I'm going to play this just as kind of, because we were talking about this all weekend.
How the particle accelerator altered the weight of one electron and therefore destroyed our universe and shifted how the particle accelerator altered the weight of one electron and therefore destroyed our universe and shifted us into the universe that's directly next to it, and therefore things are different in this universe.
The Large Hadron Collider is the world's largest and most powerful particle accelerator. This newest addition to CERN's accelerator complex has been shrouded in controversy since it started on the 10th of September, 2008. Some argued that the accelerator would create another Big Bang that destroys the world. Others argued it would open up a black hole that swallows up our planet. But none of that happened when the particle accelerator finally fired up. Does this mean all the negative speculation around the collider was baseless? Maybe or maybe not. A young teenager dubbed the world's smartest kid claimed the Hadron Collider at CERN has pushed our world into another dimension where everything looks the same, but isn't really. Max Laughlin's theories touch on the concept of the Mandela effect and attempt to explain how we may be living in an alternate extension of our universe. Could Laughlin's claims about a parallel universe be true? Has CERN opened a portal into an alternate universe that we might never escape? Get ready to venture into a vast and complex realm where the truth can be stranger than fiction. Nestled 570 feet beneath the Alps on the Swiss-French border, the world's largest physics experiment, the Large Hadron Collider, has been the center of attention ever since it was built in 2008. It is a 16.8-mile or 27-kilometer ring of superconducting magnets colder than outer space that slams particles together at near-light speed in an ultra-high vacuum. The project needed a staggering budget of $8.8 billion, which was provided by the European Organization for Nuclear Research, CERN, in Geneva, Switzerland. Although the investment was massive, the collider promised to yield results surpassing all scientific expectations. After all, it was the brainchild of some of the world's best minds. It was an exciting time for science, as the collider promised to test various key predictions of high-energy physics by smashing proton beams together at high speeds. The collider was equipped with superpowers. It was ready to accelerate particles at up to 99.99% of the speed of light and create temperatures in the trillions of degrees, something physicists only dreamed of. As a result, scientists were expecting the collider to solve the mysteries of the universe and revolutionize particle physics and quantum mechanics. However, every new invention comes with its unique set of risks. And looking at the LHC's incredible powers, critics worried that if something went wrong, it could be catastrophic. The biggest concern was that CERN's collider may accidentally create a black hole that would consume the Earth. These fears resulted in a lawsuit filed at the European Convention of Human Rights with motions against the 20 countries, including the US, which funded the project. But despite the lawsuit, the collider achieved its first collision in 2010 at an energy of 3.5 teraelectron volts, TeV per beam, which is about 4 times the previous world record. In 2012, the LHC announced the discovery of the Higgs boson or God particle, which was a massive achievement of the collider. However, shortly after this extraordinary discovery, the LHC was shut down for 2 years. When the collider became operational in 2015, it had reached 6.5 TeV per beam, which meant 13.0 TeV total collision energy. But it didn't make any headlines this time. At the end of 2018, it was shut down again for maintenance and further upgrades, reopening over 3 years later in April 2022. Although the Large Hadron Collider was able to evade the claims of creating a black hole at CERN, another theory still sticks. It was put forth by 13-year-old Max Laughlin, who believed that CERN has destroyed our universe. Regarded as a genius child and listed as the most intelligent young man in the world, Max Laughlin surprised everyone with his scientific abilities from a very young age. He created a device from scratch that was capable of generating energy without consuming fossil fuels or solar energy. His invention was ingenious. Unfortunately, it never made it to the public for unknown reasons. Max, who has been hailed a young Nikola Tesla, claimed that the Large Hadron Collider has opened portals to different dimensions. He believes the experiments conducted by physicists at CERN have the potential to shatter the very fabric of our existence. According to his theory, experiments at CERN opened our world to a parallel universe which looks and feels like our own, but isn't really. Rest assured, his claims aren't merely conjecture. Max argues that similar tests have been conducted by the European Organization for Nuclear Research in the past, adding credence to his hypothesis. Max's theory draws inspiration from another phenomenon known as the Mandela effect. The term was coined by paranormal researcher Fiona Broome in 2009 after being convinced that President Nelson Mandela had died in prison. In reality, Mandela was released from prison in 1990, and he went on to lead South Africa until he died 13 years later. But what's perplexing is that Broome wasn't the only one who thought Mandela died in prison. In fact, many people did. But how could so many people remember something that never happened? These collective false memories have since been called the Mandela effect. Max argues that the memories that are dubbed false by the Mandela effect are actually true. The only difference is that they occurred in our previous universe. This parallel or new universe that we have been shoved into by the particle accelerator's experiments is slightly different than the one we were first living in. It's entirely possible that Nelson Mandela died in prison in our old universe, and that's why so many people remember how it happened. However, Mandela's story in this new universe is different, hence the confusion. And this is just one example. Another example of this phenomenon is the children's book series, The Berenstain Bears. While the book title clearly says Berenstain Bears, many people remember it as Berenstain Bears. They even claim to have practiced the spelling in school. Check out this bizarre video.
I'll show you, as I pass through this doorway, what happens, and it's fucking weird. All right, it happens when it gets in the room. See it? And then back out here, normal. Yeah, what the fuck? Yeah. And then normal.
We can see a man holding the children's book that reads, The Berenstain Bears, but as soon as he enters another room, the writing changes to The Berenstain Bears. How do you explain something like that? Many people have argued that the universe has been caught glitching at times. This is also one of the reasons why people argue we may be living in a simulation. After all, how is it possible for our physical reality to glitch? The cosmos is vast and full of mysteries that science has only just begun to unravel. There is still so much that we don't know about the universe, and the theory of everything is a small proof of that. We are still in the process of figuring out physical laws that apply to your universe, the origin of dark matter and dark energy, and how it affects everything in space. Is it possible that amidst all this confusion, CERN has managed to open a portal into a parallel universe where the laws of physics are different? Could this be the reason why the all-powerful JWST is observing galaxies much older than the Big Bang? The theory of extra dimensions is not new. In fact, several scientists have predicted the existence of extra dimensions, not just the three spatial and one-time dimension we know of in our four-dimensional space-time, but at least one additional spatial dimension that exists in our universe. The problem is we can't access those dimensions at the energies we've probed. However, it's possible to detect these dimensions at scales much smaller than those we have examined, which correspond to higher energies. If these extra dimensions exist, one theoretical possibility is that it might be possible to create tiny, miniature, microscopic black holes using the particle accelerator at CERN. But if CERN can create a black hole, no matter how microscopic, can it create a wormhole too? A portal that allows us to access another dimension or a parallel universe? Max Laughlin believes it's possible, but do you? Tell us your opinions in the comments below. Hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and press the notification bell for more videos.
Your voice is powerful. When combined with social engagement, it's a force for change. Decentralized media paired with free speech is the catalyst for an empowered world and a unified, invaluable ecosystem. Join Global Boost, become a champion of free speech, and help to reshape the future of media.